Hi kids, Miss Juan. I'm here at Common Good City Farm again. Instagram, 3:30 p.m. every Sunday. How's everybody been? Hope you're safe. It was snowing earlier, but it stopped. We got a little bit of sunshine, and I'm glad because you know what we're doing today? We are celebrating the 7th day of the month of February, which is what? Black History Month. And guess what? Today we're going to talk about 4 African American chefs. I'm going to start from the 1700s up until today. Okay? Now, we're going to start with the first one. His name is Chef Hercules Posey. Now, Chef Posey was the chef for our first president. You know who that is? George Washington. George Washington resided in Mount Vernon, Virginia, and also where? He had a residence in Philadelphia. Now, excuse me, his chef was so good that he asked him to come from Mount Vernon and come up to Philadelphia to his private residence. Now that's where the chef, he served elaborate dinners to congressmen, George Washington's family, also dignitaries. He would make meals like from veal and ham and turkey and jellies and desserts and pork and nuts. But his favorite thing that George Washington liked was his punch wine, which was also a delicacy to the president. Okay? Now, one thing about Chef Posey, now he didn't get paid because he was enslaved, but he did get permission from the president to sell some of the leftovers from some of the state dinners. And he would go out in the streets and sell those leftovers. He also would sell feathers that the enslaved used for pillows. He also sold ash, which was used to help burn the fires to cook the food. So when he would save up all his money, you know what he did? He was a clothes person. He loved fashion, and he loved dressing up like a gentleman. And he would go strutting down the street, basically saying, "Everybody, look at me." Well, on George Washington's 65th birthday, I believe, was 1897, somewhere around there. It was George Washington's 65th birthday. You know what happened? Chef Hercules decided that he wanted to run away. He wanted to be free. So he did. George Washington had everybody searching for his chef. But guess what, guys? He was never found. Basically, free at last. Chef Hercules Posey was one of the well-renowned African-American chefs. And the second chef I want to talk to you about, her name is Lillian Harris Dean. She was nicknamed Pigfoot Mary. Why would somebody name somebody Pigfoot Mary? Well, let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born like 1870. She was born in Mississippi, and she decided to move to New York. So while she was in New York, she was like, well, I got to earn some money. And she decided to, put her skills to cooking. And what she did, she had like, what do you call it? A makeshift, I guess now you would call it a food truck. But instead of a food truck, she had a baby carriage. And that's where she would cook hog maws, chitlins, cornbread, corn, and pig feet. That's where she got the name Pigfoot Mary. She would stand on 135th Street in New York. Now that 135th Street is Malcolm X Boulevard. Now, so she was one of the first African-American females that was an entrepreneur. So what she did when she started making more money, she decided to go get a steam cart, one that she could roll and pull to keep her food warm. Now, before I go to where she went after that, I wanted to tell you a little something. Hog maws are considered the stomach of the pig. And now it's called pork belly, which is considered a delicacy. Can you believe that? Anyway, she managed to get her a steam cart and she attached it to a newsstand on the corner of 135th Street. And the newsstand was owned by James Dean. Okay? And they became friends, and eventually they married. So James Dean was also an African American entrepreneur owning his own newsstand. I think that's a great story. They lived happily ever after. The third chef that I want to talk to you about, he started very, very young. And he was born in 1955 in New York. But he had bigger dreams than New York. He was studying culinary in New York. So he decided that he wanted to move to Europe. So he studied in London, and he was Chef Patrick Clark. And like I said, he started very young becoming a chef. And what happened while he was in France, he studied how to cook French food. But he also called it the new American type of food because he infused the French food with American food. One of his favorite dishes, now guys, don't laugh at me with my French, it was called coq au vin. Coq au vin is like a chicken stew. And what they do is they take maybe like 5 chicken legs and they cook it with ham. And let's not forget the wine. French people love wine. And onions. And that was coq au vin. Now, in America, we don't usually cook our stews with wine or with another meat. We don't usually have 2 meats, especially ham with chicken. So we usually have potatoes and we have carrots. So he intertwined all of that. He also learned in France that eggs can all be used. So he would poach an egg and pour it over cream spinach. Also, he learned that in European countries, here in America, it seems like we cook our vegetables to death. But in France, they simply boil the water very, very hot, and they throw like string beans in the water, and they blanch them for maybe like 10 minutes, then they take them out. They like their vegetables snappy and fresh. So he brought all those ideas back to New York. Okay, he stayed in New York for a little while. He was young now, so he wanted to move around a little bit more. So he moved where? Here in Washington, D.C. He came here as a chef. I don't know if you know about the Hay Adams Hotel. It's downtown, right across from the White House at Lafayette Square. That's where he went to work. And while he was here, President Clinton's wife, Hillary, asked him if he would come and cook at the White House. And he said no. He moved back to New York. The James Beard Award, which is one of the biggest awards any chef could get. It was, I think, for the mid-Atlantic states, which of course is New York, Jersey, Philadelphia, Delaware. Did I say New York? New York. And believe it or not, West Virginia. He was awarded it. What a big honor for him. But the reason why I picked him is because, kids, I wanted to let you know that African American chefs, they don't just cook soul food. We cook all kinds of food. Okay? Now my last but not least, for those of you who want to become a vegan, we have Tracy Mcquarter. Now Tracy was born here in Washington, D.C., and she lived just a little while here in the Bloomingdale neighborhood. She graduated from Sidwell Friends. She also graduated from New York University. with a master's in public health nutrition. She's a speaker. She's a motivated speaker. She's been a vegan for 30 years. She has a national bestseller book that's called By Any Greens Necessary. She also wrote a book for ageless vegans. And for those of you who want to become a vegan, she also made a starter kit type book for those of you who want to start becoming a vegan and be healthy. A lot of people say, oh, I'm just eating vegetables and fruits and I'm a vegan. It's a process. And she can tell you exactly how to do it. So why don't you look her up? Check her out. She's very, very interesting. And like I said, if you want to become a vegan, she's the person for you to Google. Okay? Now, thank you guys for joining me today, for celebrating the 4 chefs that I chose. I hope you got some good information. Now, we want to thank all of them. They made history. And I was thinking when I was introducing what I was going to do today, when I said from the 17th century to now, I know some of you are saying, wow, that's like 300 years ago. But guys, that's what makes it history. 300 years plus. We're celebrating our African American chefs. Now, is there somebody out there who want to become a chef? Tell you what, why don't you Google for the rest of the African History Month, why don't you Google some more chefs and see how many more that we have. I appreciate your time. Listen, we'll see you next Sunday. Instagram, Common Good City Farm, 3:30 p.m. Hope you enjoyed the subject. Bye.